evening, everyone. It is Monday, December 9th, 2019. We are going to start the evening with a public hearing regarding our 2019 Cook County Truth and Taxation for the Wilmette Park District. The Park Board will now hold a public hearing on the 2019 proposed tax levy for the Wilmette Park District. I will first call on Executive Director Steve Wilson to explain the reasons for the levy and any proposed increases.
Thank you. When looking at the levy, you can see that there are basically three different categories in which we tax. Tax cap funds, non-tax cap funds, and then amounts that are for the repayment of prior debt issuance. Starting with the tax cap funds, you'll see that there's $2,346,000 for general and corporate purposes. This is generally the overhead of the district, the park maintenance, the facility maintenance. Specifically looking at the recreation fund, there is $316,200. This pretty much goes towards our larger free activities such as the 3rd of July festivities. Looking at some of the non-forward-facing funds, such as Social Security and Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, that's $800,000 and $850,000 respectively. Looking at the Police Security Fund, $90,000. This is for the additional police details that we need to administer the lakefront, and that's usually in conjunction with the Wilmette Police Department. And then lastly, there's $445,000 in there for our liability insurance fund. That's our property insurance through PDERMA, the risk pool PDERMA, and then $27,000 for auditing purposes. This is in line with prior audit fees. And so that in aggregate comes to $4,874,200, which is just $79,000, $80,000 more than prior year tax levy, or a 1.66% increase. Moving out of the tax cap funds into the non-capped funds, the only fund that meets that criteria is our special recreation fund. This is the fund that we tax for the amounts that we pay to NSSRA, the Northern Suburban Special Recreation Association, which is our special recreation co-op, as well as where we derive the funds to make ADA compliant facilities and parks for the public. The dollar amount here is $695,000. When you add that to the tax capped funds, you reach a subtotal levy of $5,569,200, which is a less than 1% increase over the 2018 tax levy extension. And then once you add in the funds for the debt service of $2,879,266, you get a total levy of $8,448,466, which is $367 more than last year, so virtually a 0% increase over 2018.
Thank you. At this time, all persons desiring to be heard will now have an opportunity to present written or oral testimony with respect to the 2019 proposed tax levy. First, are there any written or oral comments from the commissioners?
Not anything new.
Thank you. Hearing none. Are there any written or oral comments from the public? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the 2019 Truth in Taxation public hearing of the Board of Commissioners?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Mr. Secretary, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes. Thank you very much. I declare the 2019 Truth in Taxation public hearing adjourned. At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners of the Wilmette Park District. May we have, I guess we just did a roll call. Okay, so we don't need
everyone's here.
Okay,
I swear no one left.
we don't have to do a roll call again. First on our agenda this evening is communications and correspondence. I don't believe there were any in the packet. Do any commissioners have any correspondence or communications they'd like to include this evening? No. Hearing none, we will move along to recognition of visitors. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address us this evening? Ma'am? If you could just state your name and keep your comments to 3 minutes, that would be appreciated, please.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Seeger. I have resided in Wilmette for almost 20 years, and my children participated extensively in the Park District programs. Kindergarten enrichment and after-school programs are the best, and there's nothing like going to the community playfields on Saturday morning to watch Wilmette residents or children play soccer. I'm here today to encourage the Park District to participate in the 2020 census. When I say participate, I mean to take a leadership role in educating Wilmette residents about the 2020 census and how the village and the Park District benefit from an accurate count. Children are known to be undercounted generally in the census, as are immigrants, veterans, and the elderly. The Park District touches all of these groups and can help educate residents about the need for a full and accurate count. The village has created a census committee, a group of Wilmette administrators and residents, to lead the way in educating our community about the census. The library is actively engaged, as is the League of Women Voters of Wilmette. District 39 will also be participating on this committee. The Park District has not yet committed to participating in this village-wide effort. Please encourage the Park District to participate in our efforts to educate our community about the census, as we all benefit from a complete and accurate count. I would appreciate a response from the Park District regarding its census plan. If you need me to include my statement in an email to the Board so that you can respond to me, please let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Sophie Candido, 1221 Colgate Street. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Colgate Street Neighborhood Association. On November 25th, we received an email response from Tim Frenzer on behalf of the Wilmette Village Board regarding our concerns about the possibility of permanent structures, such as restrooms or generators and pump stations at Thornwood Park. He informed us it's the Park District Commissioners who'll be the ones to make the decisions about what facilities should or should not be in the parks, and that you seven are in the best position to weigh issues regarding the needs of park users and the park's relationship to their locations. This confused us, as we've been repeatedly told by the Park District that the village will be making decisions about the permanent structures. In fact, at the November 11th Park District meeting, President Wolf stated there are plans to house a permanent generator and a pump station in a structure that could potentially house a restroom as well. Based on this information, and on behalf of the Colgate Street Neighborhood Association, we would like to reiterate to you our concerns about having any permanent structures in Thornwood Park. We've been very clear with our desire to return the park to its current state upon completion of the stormwater project. In addition, we've repeatedly asked to have the pump station housed underground and to use a portable generator, thereby alleviating the need for any above-ground structure. We've got several questions which we hope can be discussed and possibly answered tonight during this meeting. Who will ultimately make the decision about a permanent or portable generator? Who will make the decision about the location of the pump station? And when will these decisions be made, or have they been made already? Will these decisions be written into the IGA? And speaking of the IGA, since the MOU was approved in October, we've been told the IGA is being written up and slated to be approved by the end of 2019. So we'd just like to know the status of the IGA and when it will be available for public input. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address us? Okay, we will be moving along to the voucher list.
Okay. I move to approve the voucher list in the amount of $3,158,923.80, a copy of which is to be attached to and become a permanent part of the minutes of this meeting.
Second. Are there any comments or questions regarding the voucher list? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Goebel?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Voucher list is approved.
Thank you. Next up is our executive director's report.
Great, thank you. The director's report was a little bit different this month than you're used to seeing, and that's due to a couple department head vacancies. I'm not going to go into all that detail because we don't normally do that. And I will focus on the fact that before you tonight, in conjunction with the tax hearing that we conducted prior to the start of this meeting, you do have the tax ordinance as well as a tax reduction resolution on your agendas tonight. Both of these need to be approved, if not tonight, sometime in December, because the filing of these ordinances and resolutions must take place prior to the end of the month. And so we'll take that up in future action tonight. Also, just to set up the Lakefront Committee's report, we've had several meetings, also not quite their conventional, their meeting. They've been conducting interviews and hearing presentations from various consultants on both the RFP for shoreline protection along the lakefront at both Langdon and Gilson Park, as well as the RFP for comprehensive plan development for Gilson Park. And I'll let Commissioner Abbott cover that under his report. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Director Wilson? All right, thank you very much. We will move along to committee reports. First up is the Lakefront Committee.
Well, there you go. So, yes, we've had two meetings this past month. On November 22nd, we interviewed we had 4 submittals on shoreline protection, and we interviewed three of those firms. The committee felt, I can paraphrase, pretty satisfied that one firm has distinguished themselves. The scope of the services are still being discussed, so there is no final decision yet, and I really hope to update you in January. I would like to continue to allow staff to have these discussions and not necessarily mention names, although I'd be happy to give you that. But one firm, I think, really did stand out. But we're not recommending to the full board yet, pending these discussions. Under the Gilson Master Plan, as you know, we had 8 submittals. 3 firms were interviewed. It went very well. I mean, these were good firms. The committee felt that certainly they all were quite good. Perhaps a couple of them really rose up and offered kind of competing visions as to how to move forward. And we've asked the committee, staff, to refine these firms' scope of services, and we will be reconvening in January to continue our deliberations on which firm. So no decision, nor have we really narrowed the search down by any substantial amount with regard to the master plan. But very good interviews, and I'm very heartened by what we heard from these firms, and expect to have more to say next month. So that wasn't much. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Any questions for the Lakefront?
There wasn't many specifics there.
So we'll have more information next month.
More information. These were good interviews. These, I think these are a lot of fun. I love having these discussions. So I'm very heartened by both of those days of interviews. Good stuff.
Thank you for taking the time to do that and dig in. Thank you. We'll move along to Parks and Rec Committee.
The Parks and Recreation Committee met before this meeting, and a couple of highlights. Mallinckrodt has hired a new manager, Lisa Sullivan, who came from Skokie, so please welcome her. At Centennial, I have very good news that spring apparently is coming early this year, because our spring Pro-Am tournament is happening in February. So that means that, I'm not sure what it means, but at any rate, my understanding is that we thought that we would have a more successful event if we pushed it into February. So looks like it's going to be an excellent event. It's, I believe, the 3rd year that we've done it, and so very exciting. We discussed making a change to the outdoor tennis reservation system. Currently, outdoor tennis courts are available to be reserved a day prior to, and some residents have requested the ability to make a standing reservation time over the course of the approximately 15-week season. So we are contemplating doing that for the coming year, probably at a cost about $150, so about $10 per session. We would not do this for all of the courts, so there would still be courts available for hourly, daily free rentals at every location at every time. But everyone on the committee thought that was a good idea, so I believe staff is planning to move forward with that unless we hear anything different from the full group. At the ice rink, we apparently had 1,400 people for the Glenbrook North versus Glenbrook South hockey meet, which is, and it went into overtime, exciting game, and happened without incident. The Loyola tournament was won by New Trier Green, so congratulations to New Trier Green and those residents who play on that team. And we have a Skate with Santa coming up on 12/15, so everybody reserve your spot or show up. And we had 331 folks who attended Breakfast with Santa. And I want to remind people that we have 21 different winter break camps for folks who are looking for some sort of activity while school is out. Your park district is here for you. And with that, we did have one topic we spent a fair amount of time discussing, and that was some planning with the after-school recreation and after-school club programs. We're talking about reimagining them to some extent and renaming them. And with that, I would like Emily Gunn to come up and give us a brief overview and give people a chance to ask any questions. I believe everyone received an email sort of outlining the program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So what we discussed earlier is the redevelopment of after-school recreation and after-school clubs. It's truly just based on a desire to successfully satisfy the changing needs within the community and restructure our program to meet those needs. For example, last school year we had 216 students participate in after-school recreation, and this year we have 247. So the program is growing. We've met those needs, but we need to better redefine them and create a program for more success. So in doing that, recreation staff has redeveloped the program. They're proposing 2 new programs. We're still in the planning phases of both of these programs, but we wanted to bring it in front of the committee just to get some initial feedback. The 2 programs that we're specifically recommending is CARE. That's very similar to the current after-school recreation program. It's a focus back on child care needs. It would be based out of the Community Recreation Center, so participants would also have the opportunity to participate in our healthy amount of seasonal programs that we offer at the Community Recreation Center. Our staff would be able to transport the participants to and from their additional programs that they would opt to sign up for on their own. The other program that we are currently recommending is Campus Clubs. It's similar to after-school clubs. It is intended to just improve curriculum, reinforce School District 39's curriculum throughout the day, and the social emotional learning components of the education that they're focusing on. Locations are still to be determined. We are currently talking with the school district to kind of determine the best locations. We've identified 2 that we are going to be asking them to consider those as possible locations. We are also going to offer campus clubs at the Community Recreation Center as well as Centennial. As you might remember, we expanded after-school recreation to Centennial, and there are some opportunities to reimagine how we offer additional programming there that would expose these participants to golf and skating and tennis that they might not otherwise be exposed to. So we think that there's a benefit there. And then the schools that we may not be requesting that we enter for this next school year, we would still maintain after-school clubs there. After-school clubs, again, to refresh your memory, is more of the a la carte. You register for the extracurricular enrichment program that best meets your needs. You can register 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. That's truly an a la carte option. And so the schools that we're not proposing that we enter in school year 2020-2021, we will still keep after-school clubs untouched. How it's currently structured. Do you guys have any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions concerning the rest of the Parks and Rec report?
I couldn't come to the meeting, and I'm sorry. Usually I try to be there. So this is outdoor tennis and this reservation plan. Could you just provide some details? What is it
Sure.
you're proposing?
So, as you may know, we have a standing reservation for indoor courts through the winter season.
Right.
And that has proven very popular. We have some residents who have come to us and said that they would like to have a standing reservation at outdoor courts.
I see.
And so, given we have a a large number of courts in the community, and they are, it's rare that they are filled. We thought that for those people who want to have a standing tennis time over the course of the season, we would make this available on a limited basis. So what we discussed with the folks at tennis is that we would always leave at least one court available at any given time for free reservations made the day before. But for example, if there were folks who wanted to play at, 10 a.m. on Saturday at the community playfields every week throughout the season, they would have the opportunity at the beginning of the season.
But no park would take those courts away. There would
Correct.
always be courts
Correct. There would
available.
always be courts available for daily rental.
But we were allowing some people to reserve the courts, and there's a charge?
And there would be a charge equivalent to about $10 per hour.
But that charge is only for the courts if you reserve for the whole season.
Correct.
It's still free
I
if
see.
you do the day of or the day before.
Correct.
I see. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. And that is the Parks and Rec report.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Not a question, but just a statement and observation. I think it's really exciting what is being considered as part of the ASR redesign. I know that ASR is a vital service that young families love and appreciate, and I'm sure we'll be very excited to learn as we expand it. I think it sounds like it will meet not only the needs, but also future growth, which is why many people come here as young families. So,
Agreed.
nice work by staff.
It's a vital program. Certainly my kids took huge advantage of it.
Absolutely. Same.
Yeah, and as somebody who until recently did a tennis game on a Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, not in this town, but in another town, and if you can pick your court and have it for the summer for $150
Seems like a great deal.
It's like if you're playing singles, it's $5 a person a week, and if you're playing doubles, it's $2.50 a week. It's like a no-brainer. So I think that thing is going to be very popular.
I hope so.
But we have the capacity. We don't feel like we're going to be freezing people out.
Right.
Okay.
Great. Anything else? Thank you very much. We'll move along to the Golf Operations Committee. Although they did not meet, I'm guessing there's no report.
That's correct. The staff has closed the course. And it is ready for cross-country skiing if that happens, if any snow occurs, and planning continues for the 2020 initiatives.
Great. Thank you very
A
much.
reminder, how many inches of snow do we need before we open up the cross-country?
That's under debate.
I think the golfers would ask
Your more
for a
avid
foot.
skiers think just a dusting. For us, because we are looking to protect the asset that is a golf course,
Right.
we like to get at least a 4 to 6 inch cover that we can pack down and then do the track with the groomer to make it good and useful, but also protect the turf that lays underneath.
Okay, thank you.
Is that something we police, Steve? In terms of if we get a dusting and people try and go out there, do we sort of try and dissuade them from?
Yes, our staff, we have a couple full-time maintenance staff, such as our superintendent, who are still on staff, as well as one, I think, full-time maintenance person year-round. So we try and shag people out of there when they're potentially causing damage.
Okay, good.
Thank you. We'll move along to Financial Planning and Policy Committee.
Okay, the Financial Planning and Policy Committee met on Monday, November 25th. Basically, three main things on the agenda. One was we had a visit from two representatives from PDERMA, and we talked about the health plans, and they sort of gave us some history and some background behind where they are today and how they got there. And also, we shared with them some of our thoughts in terms of what we thought were sort of restrictive limits on options available to their constituency, and they were open to re-looking at things, looking at different plan designs, doing things that we've been asking for. One of the things the committee brought up and something we'd like to pursue is what can we do with spousal situations. We've talked about a spousal surcharge or a spousal carve-out for spouses that have health insurance at their own companies who then still choose to be on our plan at our expense. So we'd like to kind of start thinking about opportunities there. Obviously, that's a big change, but it's sort of a direction a lot of the country is going right now. The second thing we talked about was the third quarter financial results, and you've all seen it in between the budget work we've been doing. Revenue's been really good this year. Expenses have been managed to below plan, and the capital expenditures are slightly below plan as well, so the net effect is we got a fairly nice surplus this year, a bit bigger than what we had anticipated in the budget, so that's helpful, obviously, as we get into next year and start looking at some of the capital spend there. And then the last thing we talked about was the tax levy ordinance, which we have, I think, beat to death the last meeting or two. I think we're very happy to have a flat tax levy from year to year.
Zero increase.
Well, yes, especially with the village having what I consider to be a fairly sizable increase this year, so it'll help offset that somewhat. So that was our meeting.
Thank you.
Some motions.
Any questions for the financial planning and policy?
I do. Two. First, you mentioned that we had a good year. I think it's worth quoting how far ahead budget we were. So I don't have the exact number, but it looks like we were approximately $1,050,000 ahead of budget when you factor in both lower capital spending and lower expenses. Is that correct?
Correct.
I just think that number should be out there because it's a truly impressive number. And my other one is going to sound petty, so I apologize in advance for it, but I didn't attend the last financial planning meeting, but I think at the meeting before, the goal was to have the levy be exactly the same as it was last year, and I understand that we're a few $100 higher, which is
367,
decimal
Commissioner
point.
Murdoch.
So, as I said, this may sound petty, but I'm just curious why the change.
I believe we were looking at it on a percentage basis and
Okay.
not on an absolute dollar
It's
basis.
a
when we
rounding
said
error.
it.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. I'll accept that. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I believe you have some motions.
I do. I move to approve ordinance 2019-0-9, an ordinance providing for the levy and assessment of taxes for the Wilmette Park District, Cook County.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that right? Which is
Yes,
it? Oh, no.
three is the correct
He was
number.
the only one that
I'm
was
sorry.
That's okay. The new agenda had it.
Didn't realize that.
That's okay.
Okay.
Let's start over.
All right, I will start.
important.
over.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to make sure we get it right. That's the tax levy. It's the one with the paying the bills.
Yep.
Okay.
I move to approve ordinance 2019-0-3, an ordinance providing for the levy and assessment of taxes for the Wilmette Park District, Cook County, Illinois, for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019, and ending December 31st, 2019.
Second.
Are there any comments? or-
2019?
It's
Oh,
levy 19.
Yes, just want to make sure, right? Yep.
Yep.
Yep, I know.
Are
I had
there any
forgotten.
questions or comments other than the?
Maybe it should be 2020.
No,
No, because you levy taxes at the end of a calendar year and collect it in the subsequent year. So this is the 2019 tax levy.
Goes back to the,
Any other questions?
The archaic.
yes.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott.
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Commissioner Goble.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf.
Yes.
Ordinance is approved.
Thank you. I believe you have another one?
Yep.
Or whoever wants to read it?
Somebody else had that.
Sure. I move to approve Resolution 2019-R-12, a resolution directing the manner of any reduction of the aggregate extension of the 2019 tax levy of the Wilmette Park District, Cook County, Illinois, in order to comply with the property tax extension limitation law as recommended by the Financial Planning and Policy Committee.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions regarding this?
Just as a reminder, I'll just chime in and say this is just giving the county direction that if for any reason we've over levied and they have to reduce it, where to reduce it, we reduce it in the corporate fund, as that is the most flexible fund as far as expenditures. It's not a specific function such as doing the audit.
And we do this every year.
Every year, it's just
Because the
a
number
it's
fluctuates.
just a matter of just making sure we're giving them
Contingency plan.
guidance. Correct.
Any other questions? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott.
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch.
Yes.
Commissioner Schisler.
Yes.
Commissioner Clark.
Yes.
Commissioner Goble.
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Thank you very much. Anything else for the Financial Planning and Policy Committee? Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is unfinished business. There's nothing listed here, but given that we had a question about the intergovernmental agreement, I'd just like to have Director Wilson kind of update us on where we are and have a little discussion on that.
So I'll try and restate by paraphrasing the question. What I have here is who will ultimately make the decision about whether there's a permanent generator, the location of the pump station, will those specifics be written into the IGA, and an update as to where does the IGA stand, considering the original schedule said it would to be considered and approved prior to the end of this year. Specifically to the generator, it is a little confusing who has what rights, what responsibilities, because it's two municipalities trying to work on a project on someone else's land, so really it's their decision whether they want a permanent generator or not. And if that permanent generator is to be located above ground, that's where we then have say on location, whether there's housing there, what the housing is like, things like that. At this point, there's been no discussion. I have no idea if they've decided whether they want one or not. Speaking to the pumps, everything I recall from our meetings, the pumps are to be located below ground, but the pumps will require ventilation, which are those kind of almost horseshoe-shaped pipes that come out of the ground, above ground someplace. No locations, again, have been discussed with me at any of the parks. Their focus right now has been community playfields, as that is the first park, and they're spending a lot of time with the school district coordinating schedules and all of that. So there's really been almost no Thornwood discussions at this point. And then specifically to the IGA, the specifics of generators and pumps will not be explicitly written into the wording of the IGA, but all of the plans for each one of the parks do get attached to the IGA as an exhibit. So once the plans are finalized, they will become a part of the IGA as a visual exhibit, but not within the specific written terms of the IGA. And you're absolutely correct. We have definitely fallen behind our intended schedule on the IGA, and we are targeting hopefully January at this point to have those public discussions. Like I said, between the schools and the village and us and attorneys and everyone, it has definitely fallen behind, and we apologize for that.
I guess I would just make one more comment that I think at the last meeting, someone might have mentioned the possibility of combining, generators and bathrooms and anything else in one location. That may or may not be the case. I don't think there's any reason that they would need to be together. As we move forward, if we decide, and the village decides that we have all of those, then we'll look at all of those independently and may ultimately decide to put them together or may decide not to.
Correct.
Right. Nothing's been decided.
Right.
So nothing's been decided. I do want to point out, so the generator, there's two ways of looking at it. So whether or not it's a portable generator or permanent kind of speaks to the village's concerns, belt and suspenders. How long does it take to turn on a generator? Obviously, if it's permanent, it can be turned on right away. If it's portable, it has to be brought in. So yes, I get that is kind of a village decision. The idea of whether or not we have above-ground structures is a park district issue. So, I think we both have a say, and it's not strictly a generator. I do think, the Thornwood community's concerns about this, and who are we asking, and how can we make sure that our preferences are being considered? That's a legitimate one. I'm not saying, we're not ready, we're not done, but we do have a say in this.
Yeah, if they choose to have a permanent generator and it's not housed underground, I don't know if you even can house it underground, but if they want one and they want it above ground, then at that point, for sure, that's our discussion to have.
Technically, you could put it underground. You have to put in all the ventilation and all that to build in an infrastructure. You'd have to build a room or, never mind. I'm not going to get into that.
Does anyone else have any other questions or discussion points on the intergovernmental agreement? Hopefully that answers all the questions of where we are. We're still just kind of in limbo and making decisions. So, okay, any other unfinished business? All right, we will move along to new business. First on our new business agenda is the approval of the 2020 Board Park Commissioner meeting schedule, which should be in your packets. Does anyone have any questions or discussions about this? I know there's been some talk about potentially moving the August meeting, given that that's a popular time for people to vacation and travel. I think it's prudent to wait at this point until we know people's travel schedules as we get a little closer, maybe deciding in June where everyone's going to be and whether or not we need to move it or not to accommodate as many people as possible. So
And as I had shared with you and Steve, I know I already have a conflict for that particular meeting. So I will vote accordingly.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? And one other point, we have decided in the past that anytime there is no school for District 39, we will not hold a board meeting on that evening because it tends to be a weekend or something that people tend to travel. And I believe it's only October 15th this year that occurs. So we'll move the meeting to later in that week to accommodate people traveling and vacationing and things like that. So any other questions? Do we have to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay.
The meeting is on October 15th?
Oh, I'm sorry, it is
That
on October
yes,
15th.
that's
Okay, I'm
the
sorry,
date
I'm
that-
sorry.
That's the
It's
new
the date,
date.
it's not
That's
the Monday.
Thursday of that
It's
week.
Thursday.
12th, yeah.
Got it, sorry. So this is the 15th. Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
Yes, I move we approve the 2020 Board of Park Commissioner meeting schedule.
Thank you. Any questions? May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Abbott?
Yes.
Commissioner Murdoch?
No.
Commissioner Schisler?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Cole?
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Calendar is approved.
Thank you.
Barely.
This is not under new business, but given, again, we had a question earlier about the Census 2020. This is the first I've heard about it. So
Yeah,
I don't
I'm sure
know.
I have an email somewhere that I need to go back and look at.
So we will get
So,
looking into that and get back to the powers that be regarding that. So I don't know anything
Yeah,
about it.
and is there some sort of umbrella help that all of these various community organizations are talking to and getting help from, and, rather than have
Like I
us each
said, I'm
doing
sure
our own
there's an
thing?
email I gotta go back and look
Okay.
at.
So
all right, okay.
we'll ask Steve to look into that and let us know moving forward. Is there
And
any
if
other?
you need a commissioner help, I'm happy to help. I actually worked on the census many censuses ago. So,
Many.
Many. Thank you.
Many censi.
Sure it would be. Any other new business? Hearing none, I think we should move to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.